getting Brady Bunch trauma flashbacks. It's the smallest Sony television.
It really is. For the amount of people you're crowding around that bloody thing. Quick discount on a gold PS4 regular model, by the looks of it.
And look how many people we have. Fuck you, Microsoft.
That is a big stage.
That is.
Sitar, Indian theme for what? Uncharted DLC? It would be rather odd to have Assassin's Creed with an Indian sitar. No, I don't think it's that.
New Prince of Persia. I mean, they're remaking everything else. Why not?
It's actually Patapon 4. Look at how much money we have. And introducing your WWE World Champion, Genna Mahal.
Only 20%, I'm going to guess, of your audience actually got that joke.
Far less. This water represents all the money falling from the sky.
It's not actually water, it's in fact gold coins.
It's now liquid gold.
Yes.
Yeah. It's grabbed by the ghoulies too.
Fix your sound.
Indeed.
Really fix your
yeah,
sound.
That's
you are
not us.
piping.
That is not us.
I'm having to read subtitles.
And half of them are wrong. Well, it's Ride to Hell 2. Wasted. It comes up on the screen. QTEs! I mean, honestly, what I've seen so far is what Ride to Hell would be if it was good. It's not actually Ride to Hell 2.
No, it's Days Gone.
Yeah, we know this. It's just the lack of... The last time we saw Days Gone, it was mostly, look at this shed, here's zombies. Look at this!
I know. It's artistic as fuck.
Full Cirque du Soleil on this shit now. Was this one the company that brought you the Eat Offal Out of the Goat's Innards event for a God of War a while ago, so I wouldn't put anything past them necessarily. How many games have we had that involved just sneaking around, snapping necks, and throwing rocks as a distraction?
It's like, hey, it's Dead Rising. Wait.
A very boring version of it.
A very poor man's Dead Rising.
Look at the number of zombies that we could put on screen. Their protagonist.
Say it.
Ba-ba.
Please welcome.
Are you kidding me? For what possible reason would you want to film this on your phone?
Horizon Zero Dawn, Neo, Resident Evil 7, MLB The Show, Persona 5.
One of these games is
It's
not like the
other.
others. One of these games does not belong.
PlayStation is home to all the biggest and best franchises in the world.
Like Life of Black Tiger.
Let's recognize the art of
Those who took a shower on day 3 of E3.
Shouldn't take long to get through that list.
Let's get back to the games.
Because I can smell you from a mile away.
I can smell you.
Foliage.
Monster? No. Can't be. It certainly looked very Monster Hunter-esque.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Guys, it's Knack 2. Crafting, hiding, tactical espionage action. I don't know what it is, okay?
It looks like Monster Hunter-ish.
I'm going Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. So yeah, this is Monster Hunter World.
Well, they didn't waste the budget, did they?
Yay!
Yay! All the meatses.
Where's the dancing cats? Dauntless's crying tears. That bridge looks suspiciously like the Shadow of the Colossus bridge. It's not, but... Ico remake? No, it is actually Colossus. You know, that almost looks worse than the remaster in terms of its aesthetic. But yes, the second remaster of that game. Oh, hello.
It's like going to a movie and, like, the entire movie's actually just trailers.
And yet, here we are.
Yeah? Are you interested at all in this COD?
In COD?
Be honest.
No, not really. I'm sorry, did we just see dual wielding in a COD campaign based in World War II? Are you kidding me? Skyrim? Skyrim VR? Skyrim VR. Why did you not show this during the Bethesda conference last night? Well, this will be what the 17th version of Skyrim we've got now. They will not stop until Skyrim is available on every platform over the next 20 years. If anything Skyrim Special Edition has taught us is that people will willingly buy the same shit multiple times, so why on earth would Bethesda stop? That was a jarring transition into a 2D platformer. Why is this in VR? It's a side-scroller. For what possible reason? Well, that was pointless. Please stop zooming in on random members of the audience. It doesn't help. Supermassive, what did they make? They made Until Dawn. Also, screw more horror games in VR. Please stop doing this. My heart can't take it. VR fishing in Final Fantasy 15.
Sick. Now your favorite boy band can also fish.
Let's get some fucking metal in here. Give me a bass.
Prompto, no, why? There's some uses for VR and, you know...
Are you actually shitting me?
I mean, that's like an April Fool's joke.
The audience is just aghast.
Even they're like, what the fuck?
Final Fishing 15. Sure looks like shooting things.
This will be Moss.
Moss? What's that all about then?
It's cute.
Is
it Stuart Little, the VR game?
Yeah, the gritty reboot of Stuart Little. Alright, here's a circle jerk about 4K on PS4 Pro, I think. Or maybe not. At this point, they drown the whole audience. There were no survivors. And there's your God of War.
Ah, there.
God of War. Look what you bloody done. You're gonna have to go get back now. That footage looks like it's running at 60.
I'm sorry, are you getting an erection right now?
I mean, it means I'll play it if it's actually 60. Yeah, that's running at 60. Unless my eyes very much deceive me, which they never do.
I'm told that you can't actually see the...
Yeah, right. I can see it right off the fucking
I'm just
bat.
waiting for chat to show you that they are with you.
Well, I mean, well, they can't agree with me because I'm streaming at 30, so they can't see that. I'm watching the YouTube stream right now. That is clearly 60.
So what about this third-person over-the-shoulder free camera?
Yeah,
That's kind of weird. And...
Oops. That's got nothing
apparently the over-the-shoulder third-person free camera has killed this...
It's just too much. It looks very, very good. And if they have upped it to 60, that's very impressive, and I am much more interested in it now. That sea serpent looks quite friendly, really. Looks like he could run a coffee bar in Seattle with that beard. I would buy coffee from him. I wouldn't have much of a choice, I think. 4K 60. That's disappointing. I quite like those cuties. Poke the eyes out of various Greek gods. There's no way that's 4K 60, but 1080p 60, I'll take it.
Hold on, just a little while longer.
That's what I was saying during the EA conference. Detroit. Apparently not Rock City anymore.
That's what we are to them. Just merchandise on display in a shop window. Let's get them out.
We'll stick to
I mean, to be fair, if you're being built in a factory, that's reasonable. Destiny 2, by the looks of it.
This is my next cosplay, honey.
I'll pick this up on PC when it eventually comes out. Here's a view of the ceiling. I just have to remind you every 5 seconds that they have a massive theater.
Of course it does.
Naturally. Yep, let's just make sure that not all devices get equal treatment when it comes to content.
Twist the knife.
Absolutely awful business practice. I think people are more interested in Anthem at this point. Why are you bringing a... There's 2 screens. All right. A little fancy.
Because we got a big-ass budget, I guess?
Yeah,
all those PS4 Pros we sold you? I don't know.
This looks very Arkham to me. Arkham with more flippy shit. This is a lot of scripting. QT is confirmed. Was that actually it? Where the fuck is Last of Us 2?
That was
Everyone's still... Nope. Okay.
People are getting up, so...
Stop
Sony,
chanting, Sony. What is wrong with you?
That's not scary at all.
All right, that was the PlayStation E3 showcase here in the
Wow.
Okay, that was surprisingly short for a Sony conference.
Yeah.
With us in the shrine to see what we saw in the flesh, but nonetheless, a lot of great games. Big update on Spiderman, huge update on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
All right, well, let's wrap, I suppose, on this
sure.
one. I'm just surprised.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I'm disappointed. I mean, I feel like we saw a lot
We did.
But
They crammed a decent amount in there.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. Artificial cold. Cold
What?
is kind of how I feel about it. Like
Oh.
a very sterile type of. You know, it's like with the other conferences, you got at least a bit of, some warm fuzzies, devs coming out choked up about their, giving birth to their baby on the stage kind of thing. And this was such a sterile kind of showcase, I guess. It had its bit of art and whatnot, but even that's
there was
like
very little
incredibly
of that, wasn't there?
polished. Just the bit at the beginning.
They opened up with that and then sort of forgot that was happening about 15 minutes into the show, and then never really did it again.
We had a bit of pyro, and that was kind of it.
Ha.
It's just a disjointed and cold. Is just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, so apparently during the pre-show, we saw a bit of, what was it, Crash, and a couple of other things were in the pre-show as well. But again, it's weird not to do that on the stage. It's not like you haven't got the time. Microsoft took a good 90 minutes. EA went longer than an hour. So, there was also barely any human interaction of any sort.
Right, and that's
during that show.
Exactly
there was
what I
about
mean.
3 minutes total of people talking.
Right.
And you might say, oh, we don't want people to talk. Well, it's just show us the games. Well, no, I want people to tell me what's coming. Why should I be excited about your lineup?
Right, but I mean, this is why it was a showcase. It's just very clinical. Cold.
Yeah. So, PS4 Undertale Edition, whatever that is, Gran Turismo was actually in the pre-show, supposedly. Well, it was certainly not as grandiose as I expected, or as lengthy.
No, I mean, they showed us games. I can't complain about the amount of games that we were shown. It's just maybe not 100% the games I was hoping to get more information about. But if all they were going to do is show us trailers and kind of very scripted out pieces of those games anyway, I don't know if we would have actually learned anything that we didn't already know or speculated about.
Yes, something along those lines. So to me, it was definitely odd to open up with 2 pieces of DLC, one after another, although with the success of Horizon, saying there's going to be an expansion for that is probably a strong point. Days Gone was a big I don't know if it was a letdown for me because I wasn't expecting anything.
It was a letdown for me because I really expected to get a lot more from it. But again, it was
It looks
scripted,
extremely generic.
The very scripted bits, and I just I kind of hope that that's not the entire game. I want to be able to see what the core is like.
Well, the core just seems to be stealth action, sneak around, things we've seen 1,000 times before.
Yeah, but because it's so uber scripted, it's so quick pace. It's difficult to show a game like that, I suppose, in that kind of environment where you have so many other games to show. You only have a certain amount of time in order to get across what the game is about.
But they spent a lot of time in Days Gone. It was one of the longest pieces of footage they had.
They did.
And it was one of the least interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe it's because it was uber scripted, and I don't know.
Yeah, entirely possible. Shadow of the Colossus remaster
Which
is
looks
totally
worse.
unnecessary. And in my opinion, aesthetically, I think that remaster looks worse than the older version, because that washed out aesthetic was somewhat iconic, it was unique, and it suited the game, and it seems like that game is a lot cleaner now, the lighting is different, it looked a lot less like Shadow of the Colossus and a lot more like every other game, which to me, I think is the wrong way to go about remastering something. Also, what the hell are you doing remastering a remaster? Again.
Well, I'm looking forward to Monster Hunter World. That looked really cool. That was actually a surprise. I was not expecting that. I hadn't even read that was rumored to be a thing. So for me, that's pretty exciting.
Yes,
I thought it looked really good.
We got confirmation earlier that it's coming to PC. So, and Worlds, obviously, well, I believe it's an MMO of sorts. I don't know if it's just going to be a shared world, like a kind of MMO, but not. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, we've already seen gameplay for that. That was there's a story demo available right now. I might play that tonight. I'll see how that plays out. I'm glad it has a story mode, considering we did get a couple of fighting games launched without one, and they didn't do that well. So there's a pushback against that now, and I'm glad of it. It's good to be able to put that in there and play that first and get a little bit of a hang of the characters before diving into the shark pit that is multiplayer.
Still really surprised not to see anything from The Last of Us 2. But,
That's definitely conspicuous by its absence.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was, like, kind of a definite. But, that's...
No sign of Final Fantasy VII, but it's okay because we got Final Fishing 15.
That was kind of cute. I mean, it's
I hope
weird.
they do not charge much for that.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know how to feel about that.
It's a little silly.
I can't wait to talk with Jesse about that on the podcast tomorrow.
You're going to get that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll be very amused. With Detroit, it's hard to know, because one, it is a very story-driven game, so we saw a lot of story-driven trailer, but ultimately, the way that game is going to play out and the way that the choices work in that game is going to be the key component of it.
Right.
So you can never really show that in a trailer, I think. You've got to play it.
Exactly. That's probably the game from the conference I'm most looking forward to playing.
Yeah,
Just because the concept...
I agree. I'm much more interested in God of War now that I've seen 60 frames footage.
I figured you might be.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I wasn't interested in it before that.
I'm
glad they went in that direction.
I didn't play the games from the franchise, so
it's not going to matter because this one is completely disconnected from
and
those.
I know, and I probably will play it. It's just I don't have that previous base of knowledge to where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like Kratos, my boy. I'm gonna play this. You know what I mean? I will play it. I'm just not as excited, I guess, about it. When it comes to like IPs that have been around for a long time, I always feel like I've missed the train when it comes to those. When I haven't played the previous games, I just feel like it's kind of weird starting in the middle.
Yeah, this one is more of a reboot. Like I said, you don't need any previous knowledge. Whether or not the combat system plays out well is going to be questionable, because of course you can look at it and it's like, well, this is a little bit more Dark Souls-y than, God of War was a spectacle fighter for a long time. This is not, very clearly. Very clearly. So, whether it has it... I don't know, didn't they confirm that it had no connection to the previous games? It's like, oh, he's older and has a kid now. No, I don't think that... I'll have to look that up. I'm almost certain last year when they talked about it, they said it is not a direct sequel to the previous games. Almost certain they didn't. Outside of that...
Uncharted?
I don't care.
Well, okay then.
Didn't play 4. No intention of playing 4. Runs poorly.
Yeah. Destiny 2? Again, probably...
Don't really care now that Anthem...
yeah.
Anthem is up there and looks more interesting to me. If that style of game... I think I would prefer, based on what I saw of Anthem, to play Anthem over Destiny 2.
Same. COD World War II? Again, you've already made your point.
I've made my point on that fairly clear. I think that the scope of the campaign is far too narrow to be interesting to me, and considering the scope of previous COD campaigns were a lot wider, I am a bit disappointed in that.
Anything from PSVR that took your fancy?
No, not really. Nothing blew my mind on that one. You've got like one horror experience, which I'm not going to play.
Right.
That really dull-looking cover shooter.
Yeah.
There's a dime a dozen of those on Steam under early access for Vive now. I don't care about that. And that 2D platformer was just bizarre. Star Child. Why would that be a VR game?
I don't know.
The logic.
It's like I almost got a weird sort of semi-Pacific Rim moment out of it. I was like, are we going to be able to get in that thing? Are we going to be able to like walk around in it or something? What is it exactly? I don't understand.
That's truly bizarre. No, PSVR, it had a very small presence. I expected to have a larger presence than it did, although its presence last year, I think, was quite heavy. You know what's very conspicuous by its absence? That's because of the length of the conference. Not a damn thing from, like, indies or third parties or anything. Not one.
I was really disappointed not to see anything about Dreams. I really thought, having been absent 2 years...
That's just in the ether now.
I'm concerned that maybe it's, like, getting canceled or something, or just really delayed.
From what we saw of it, it's like it wasn't, at that stage, it wasn't even a game. It was more of a toy. The question is, what do you do?
Yeah.
And they evidently don't know that either. Of course, Spider-Man. Again, very Arkham style. Like I said, very Arkham style. I don't know. It looks very impressive. The web swinging looks great. Once I see a bigger chunk of gameplay that's representative of what you're going to be doing, I will be perhaps more interested in it. But I wasn't blown away by it, but it definitely had some impressive moments.
I feel like most of these conferences, or I guess in Sony's case, it really is the media showcase, because it literally was sitting down before a movie instead of
watch an hour of trailers.
Right. So, I mean, do you feel like that is just for the common person who goes to E3? I'm not talking about for you.
And for the commoners, the peasants.
For the console peasants, because they're the ones attending. Clearly. Do you feel like moving in this direction is actually a positive thing? I mean, it is clearly more positive for the actual developers themselves, because
they don't have to get on stage.
Right. I mean, and their games are getting more exposure. It's like this by comparison to something like, for example, the Ubisoft conference, where developers from, each game kind of came out and talked about the game. Sometimes that can put people to sleep.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. When I can hear the vision and the passion of the developer and they're communicating that effectively, it's a great experience. When they're not, it isn't. That's when you get cringeworthy moments, it's when you get gaffes, it's when you get what we got earlier with Crew 2, where the guy was like giving us an AMR go to sleep treatment. ASMR, whatever it is. But then you get those really like hot touching moments where the devs of Beyond Good and Evil 2 come out finally, and just there's a few tears because like finally this is going to happen. It is a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword.
I mean, it reminds you that there are actually hundreds of thousands of hardworking people that are actually creating these games for our consumption.
Not only that, but I don't think a trailer can ever really sum up the vision of a game in the way that a developer can when they're explaining it.
Right.
And that's kind of what I want to know. What is the aim of this game? What is your grand goal and vision? Are you going to be able to achieve that? What should I be looking for when this game comes out to see whether or not you have achieved it?
Right.
And does my interest line up with your vision?
I think it's because, in previous conferences, we've had presentations where these developers do talk about that. It's like, this is our vision. This is where we want this game to go. And then due to not being able to deliver on those promises, that this is why we're moving more towards this more clinical sort of, hey, we're just going to show you the trailer.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. The less you get a developer on stage to speak, the less promises are made and the less things that you can then hold them to when the game actually comes out. Nothing can really go wrong, with the exception of that sound weirdness at the start, and that was Twitch's fault. Nothing can really go wrong when all you do is queue up an hour of trailers.
Right. You don't get a No Man's Sky out of that.
You don't get I remember what happened with Uncharted 4 when they tried to live demo that.
Yes.
But simultaneously, even though you take that risk away, you also take away that feel of I am getting to see what this game truly involves, and I am going to get to play what I'm seeing here.
Right.
Not a full-on scripted, by the numbers, perfectly polished trailer.
Well, considering that this is the last conference that we are covering.
Yep. We're not covering Nintendo.
Too many copyright issues.
We can't trust them, man.
No.
They go out of their way to take people's revenue. I'm not okay with it. I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to get involved in it.
So I know obviously it's not apples to apples by any stretch, but
no.
do you have a favorite conference for what we have covered for Snarkathon 2017?
I think, and we don't count Devolver because that was just a giant 20-minute joke. I think it's between Ubisoft and Microsoft.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Ubisoft did have a game or two that bored me, but they showed me some new stuff. And they showed me Beyond Good and Evil 2. And they showed me what looked like genuine passion for their games. And they showed me something I never thought I wanted, which was
the crossover. Yeah.
Turn-based tactics Rabbids Mario XCOM game.
That was so strange. I'm never gonna forget, and that's a good thing. That is a very good thing.
Yeah, Microsoft Had a bunch of good games. The problem is I was kind of aware of them, but as a PC user, obviously I'm more interested in the Microsoft conference because everything I see, I know I'm going to be able to play on my PC.
Now, you watched the PC gaming show. What did you make of that?
I only watched bits and pieces of it, and it was like last year in that...
It was a bit of a slog.
It was a slog, and the quality of the segments varied wildly between games.
Oh, okay.
Some things were like, I don't know why you got up on stage to say this. This is so minor and unimportant. And the other half was like, that looks cool. You know, I watched what they showed of Wargroove, which was super cool. That is something that's coming out on Switch and on PC. It's an Advance Wars style game. And they showed a campaign editor where you can make your own campaigns with branching consequence paths in the same editor that the game developers are using, and it's super easy to make them. That was like, wow, that's cool. I saw some Battletech. Admittedly, I do have the backers demo for that, so it's pretty much the same stuff, but that was good. So there were a few bits of that were pretty fun, certainly. Varying quality of presentation, varying quality of what they had to show. There were a couple of things that were cool out of Bethesda.
There were.
Wolfenstein
Yes.
looks exceptional. They kept it short and to the point.
They did, very much so.
And they you know, the Bethesda land conceit was kind of fun, I guess. Oh, it's kind of just been a very underwhelming E3 up until this point, hasn't it?
It has, and again, that's why I asked the questions. Like, do you believe that game developers and these properties are actually moving more towards this whole, we're just going to show you a bunch of trailers and just kind of keep it very clinical, just so that way we don't get in trouble for making promises or saying anything that isn't actually going to make it to the end result game. Even though I would like to think that the majority of people attending E3, considering it's supposed to be industry professionals only,
that's not true. Well, that's not true this year, isn't it?
Yeah, but in years past. But they should be understanding of the fact that most of what you're seeing is either pre-alpha footage, alpha footage, at the most maybe beta footage. So things change, problems happen, and you have to cope with those problems in the best way that you can.
Yeah. Playing it safe.
Yeah.
That's what this year has actually been about,
And
I
maybe
think.
that's why it's a little underwhelming.
That's exactly why it's underwhelming.
Because
no risks.
Yes. There is no pressure to fulfill on some huge, ginormous promise. Not to my mind, anyway.
No, I don't think so. E3 definitely, in the past, has been sort of the celebration of the year when it comes to games, where all the big stuff gets announced and shown. We just might be moving away from that. Ultimately, with the advent of streaming, it's very easy for these companies to share all of these games on their own terms.
Yes. Getting exposure before it was all about the circuit.
Yeah,
it's no
you
longer,
needed to do the big conventions,
Yes.
Otherwise people wouldn't pay attention to you. That's
no
just
longer
not
about
true.
the circuit. There are influencers, and of course let's talk about that for a moment. The presence of YouTubers and streamers this year.
Oh, bloody hell.
I mean, do you think that these companies are really just relying on influencers a bit too much? Even just bringing them to the conference and throwing them in front of a camera, it's like, how relatable
I think
we?
that defeats the entire point of the exercise.
I think it does as well, and I'm glad that you agree.
And as we've very clearly seen, most of them can't handle it.
No, they're used to being at home and streaming things, and
Very few of them have stage experience. Very few of them have actual commentary in front of an audience experience. And it shows.
Yes.
It absolutely does. EA went hard on it, and it looked stupid.
It was kind of cringe.
It was very cringy, I think. Especially when the guy either couldn't read his teleprompter or forgot his lines, or just stood there like a deer in the headlights.
Also, can we do away with creator caves, mix pots, and all of these
home base?
None of these things are cool.
No.
They are not cool.
Can we get rid of game changers as well while you're at it? The thing about streamers and YouTubers in particular, and dragging them into this, is if you are a streamer and a YouTuber and you're getting dragged into this and you're not being paid a good amount of compensation for it,
you're a fool.
I mean, you are. You really are. They're exploiting your brand for free marketing. This is not what people followed you for. You create the content that you create in an organic and a natural way from home with your setup. You sit in front of your computer, you do your stream. You stream what you want to stream, not what you've been told to stream. And I think if you give that up too much, you're going to sacrifice your identity and credibility.
For sure.
So be careful on that one. I know a lot of smaller streamers and YouTubers will jump at the chance to get footage from an EA or Ubisoft game, go to one of those events to do it. But bear in mind, you are being used as a marketing arm for the company.
And we know because we've been there.
Yeah, of course, we've
done
seen it. We get invited to all of these events. We turn the vast majority of them down.
Now, because we're smart.
Yeah, we didn't used to. We went to... Also, we've never been to a big studio to do recording, though.
Well, it depends on what you mean by big. I mean, we went out to Sony for PlanetSide.
Yeah, it was Sony Online Entertainment.
Yeah.
That was a very specific brand deal, though, that was well compensated. And I've said it before, if I had the opportunity to go back and do that again, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Really? Why
Yeah,
not?
it just... Getting that close to a game as a critic is really dangerous. It's like so hard to even talk about that game
Well, I mean,
in any way.
You never covered it from a WTF
No, I
standpoint
didn't.
as a result.
I didn't, but
because you knew that the bias had the potential to be there.
Yeah, still though, it doesn't feel right these days. If I was asked to do that in 2017, I'd decline.
Right.
The ones I used to really enjoy were the Paradox events.
Oh, I love those.
Where they'd hire out a small venue and they'd get a bunch of us and they'd just show us 6 or 7 games. And
Yeah.
they're like, just film what you want. We got some good value out of those.
It wasn't a situation of them trying to really
They didn't push
sell
you.
us.
No.
It was just here's the
what
venue.
we've got coming up.
Play
it.
these things.
Play it, ask us
Yeah.
some questions.
And having that kind of access to the developers was just really nice.
Yeah. Blizzard's an exception because I've worked with StarCraft for 7 years, so the connection to Blizzard's sort of unavoidable. It's why I don't critically cover Blizzard games. Yeah, I don't know. Just I guess a little bit of advice to streamers and YouTubers. Don't attach your brand too heavily to a company because you lose your independence.
I guess it depends on like what your premise is about, really. I mean,
Sure.
obviously, if you are critique,
If you critique, you can't
do that.
Some people do it anyway.
I
I'm
know,
like, why do
but
people still pay attention to you?
They probably shouldn't.
They certainly shouldn't. So that was E3. At least
Yeah.
the conferences
Our
anyway.
version of E3, because we didn't pay for an overpriced downtown LA hotel.
No, we didn't.
We're not going to fight that traffic.
No.
We didn't pay for an overpriced flight.
I've done E3 before, and I have no desire to do it again. We sat home and made a shit ton of money this weekend, is what we did.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for that. That's the reality. Thank you for the support. Let's just say our subscriber base on Twitch massively grew over the last 3 days.
And now you said that, and they all went and hit the unsubscribe button.
Yeah, they'll probably bail after a month.
Stay for the icons. Stay for the emoticon.
Indeed, we have the best emoticons
We
on Twitch.
do.
We've actually hit cap. If you can believe that. We've got the most slots that are available on Twitch. Amazing. I don't know how many that actually is, but we should probably come up with a few more for you.
Let's say I want one.
Indeed.
I want an emoticon.
I'll get you several. We've got some space.
Yay!
We can do it. But yeah, big thanks to those subscribing on Twitch Prime. We're actually subscribing right now. We're very much appreciated. We'll see if we can get you a bear protagonist icon. That's something we can do. It's totally something we can do. All of the VODs on Cut are also available, of course, for all of you. And we do have our post-E3, which is weird because, of course, E3 is sort of just getting started. But our post-conference E3 co-optional with myself, Dodger, Jesse, and Jenna. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. The time is available if you hit the next E3 command. That is 3 p.m. Eastern. That'll be our full breakdown, the 4 of us, on everything that we've seen from E3. I guess that's when we'll have the debate of who won, who came off looking not so great.
It was so wildly different, but
if you were to call it now,
I think we won. The consumers, I think we won.
The consumer won.
That's right.
Tomorrow's unethical business practices today.
Oh, Devolver.
We definitely won, no doubt about that. But
we got games. I mean, I'm happy about that.
If we had to choose.
Oh.
If you had to choose, who won, as it were?
Conference-wise or
Yes.
game-wise? Okay.
Well, let's go column A, column B. Like, what was your pick of the show? Let's say top 3 pick of the show for games.
Gosh, that's hard.
And best conference.
Let's see. I'm looking back on my list now because
Check
there's
your
so
notes.
many games.
Yeah.
No, it's just because there's so many games. Well, I think we can easily say that EA was not my pick of the show. I'm just putting it out there. I don't believe.
Thanks for confirming that.
I just, I wanted to put it out there that was not my pick of the show. Let's see here. Okay, as far as games, definitely Wolfenstein.
Yes. That's on my list.
That is definitely on my list.
Yeah, that's top 3 for me.
I would love to say State of Decay 2. I would love to say that, but because of the original and the problems and the bugs that went unfixed.
And the fact that we really didn't see a lot of the interesting part of State of Decay 2 in the trailer. We saw too much action, not enough survival and building of the shelters and things.
I would love to say that, but I'm actually going to have to give that spot to Middle-earth Shadow of War, because I really want to see how the RPG elements built upon the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system is one of the greatest things, and of course the best, and you only actually need that as a selling point in order to pick up that game, in my personal opinion. So I'm really excited to see more of that. So yeah, Wolfenstein, Shadow of War, and only getting to pick one more. That's hard.
Tricky, isn't it?
It is. It's like part of me actually wants to say Far Cry 5, but I'm actually kind of curious about the Mario and Rabbids game because it's such a shock.
Mario and Rabbids is going in there for me.
It's such a shock. It was so. It made me feel uncomfortable that it's an actual game, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's a good feeling to have.
I may actually call that as game of the show.
Really?
I might.
Okay.
I was so surprised by how fun that looked. I might call that my game of the show so far.
But as far as who won, I'm actually gonna have to maybe go Microsoft with who won. I mean, I know you weren't such a huge fan on everything announced about Scorpio, but for me, things like Sea of Thieves, again, State of Decay 2, we didn't see enough, but what we saw
a good amount.
Yeah, but what we saw of Shadow of War, that was
great.
really good.
Metro looked great.
Crackdown 3.
Anthem looked pretty good.
Anthem, yes. So I think for me, Microsoft might win it. What about you?
I would probably agree, although I'll say Ubisoft is a very close second. And even that, they surpassed expectations. I don't think any of the other conferences did. But
they were surprising.
Yeah, Ubisoft surprised us with several pieces of new IP.
The crossover, obviously.
The stuff that looked good, stuff that looked interesting, entertaining, potentially great. A lot of it is quite far out, of course, but they do have a couple of titles coming out this year, which I'm interested in, South Park in particular. As for my top 3 games, they're pretty similar to yours, I think. Wolfenstein. I think it goes Wolfenstein, probably Metro number 3, Wolfenstein.
Oh, I forgot about Metro.
Metro, Wolfenstein, and Mario X Rabbids at number 1.
Yay!
I really do think so.
No, I forgot about Metro. Oh, yeah, Metro's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I wanna go play Metro Redux again.
Yeah. And the one other thing that I would mention as a standout is how cool Doom VR looked. I was quite impressed by that. Thanks about it. Really?
Yeah.
That was E3. Yes, we are ignoring that Nintendo is doing a little thing. We can't cover it. They can't be trusted with the copyright stuff. I'm sorry.
Be lucky if our Ubi
our Ubi one got through.
Oh, I'm surprised. Enough supercuts.
I'm very good at editing these things.
Oh, are you very good? Are you very good? Are you as good as me? Because I edited one today.
You did Bethesda. You did really well on that one. Yeah.
I edited Bethesda. Yay.
Yeah. I pulled off the Ubisoft Supercut in under 2 hours.
I will say Bethesda actually had the best overall theme.
I like the fact the whole conference being themed was kind of
It will never cease to amaze me how innovative their theming, can be like that. It's very cohesive, and I do enjoy that whole aspect of it.
It was kind of neat.
Especially the way they did the Wolfenstein. That was
Wolfenstein.
Liesel.
That was an excellent presentation. Excellent. They even put out a trailer for a collector's edition with an action figure. Like, here's a Nazi action figure. Oh, I was like, yeah, they're really going good with that. I mean, their overall conference wasn't brilliant, but it had a couple of very strong points.
Yes.
You know, a couple of big, good-looking games that I care about.
And that's it.
We're done. I'm going to bed. Okay, reruns, folks. If you happen to be just waking up and say, damn it, I missed the Sony conference because it was surprisingly fucking short. Yeah, you probably did. So we're going to rerun all of them in reverse order. Sony, Ubisoft, Microsoft, Bethesda. Well, that's not the right order, but you get the idea. EA. Don't stay around
watch
for EA. Don't stay
Please,
around
God,
for EA.
no.
Yeah, we'll rerun them all, folks. But again, we would really like to thank you all for your support. It's been an extremely successful E3 Snarkathon. I think we broke our concurrent record for a Snarkathon. I think we hit like 36,000 at one point.
Wow.
Which was astonishing. So thank you very much for that.
And tune in tomorrow for the podcast and
Piece
find
of
out
post
what
E3 optional.
Jesse and Dodger thought of the conferences. I know Jesse attended a couple of them.
He was in the Bethesda land.
Of course he was in Bethesda land.
I got out of Bethesda land yet, but but he was there, yeah. So we'll have some words from him. Whether Dodger even watched any of it, I don't know. So I don't know. She may be our silent partner on that one. We'll see. I don't blame her. She does have a wedding very, very soon, so is it even worth caring about E3 at that point? Probably not. Is it worth caring about E3 in a normal situation? Probably not. But thank you. Appreciate the support, folks. As for the Sony Supercut, don't know when that's getting done. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Their protagonist. Just saying.
You just had to get it in there.
We're done. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Reruns coming up in a couple of minutes.